Hello and welcome to Vietnam, a beautiful country featured on Trains Are Awesome for the very first time. Today we are in Ho Chi Minh City, also known as Saigon. With 10 million people living in this metropolis, it is Vietnam's largest city. After independence from France, Saigon was the capital of South Vietnam. But when North Vietnam took over and created a unified country in 1976, Saigon was officially renamed after Ho Chi Minh, the former communist leader of the North. Today, HCMC has emerged as an economic powerhouse, one of the most important ports and economic cities in Southeast Asia. And it is a city popular with tourists, with over 4 million people every year visiting the city to take in its many museums, parks, and the street food scene. In terms of transportation, many people get around on mopeds. Other options are to take the bus or to drive. But with so many skyscrapers and so many people, you would expect there to be a metro. If you'd come here last year, you would be wrong. But come here today and you'll find just that. Because exactly half a year ago, on December 22nd, 2024, Line 1 of the Ho Chi Minh City Metro opened its doors. In today's video, we are going for a ride on Line 1, showing the elevated and underground stations, the trains, and focusing particularly on the Japanese connection that this line has. We'll start the ride at about the middle of the line, at the elevated station at Thao Dien. Fun fact, I don't speak Vietnamese, so I'm doing my absolute best with pronunciation. But for those of you who like keeping score, count which happens more, me mispronouncing something in Vietnamese, or me making some comment on how something is similar to Japan. Because for context, I grew up in Tokyo and I rode trains everywhere. It's kind of how I got into this to begin with. I'll talk about why the metro here in Ho Chi Minh is, quote, Japanese once we're on board. But if you've traveled on Japanese trains before, you will probably notice a lot of small similarities, like these yellow tactile blocks for visually impaired people. All the examples that I will show today are not exclusively Japanese. I mean, you've got tiles like these in plenty of other places, but a lot of these features just remind me of the stations that I used to use all the time in ways that some other places just don't. Anyways, we'll take the escalator up to the concourse level, located between the street and the track level. It's spacious and light. You can clearly tell it's brand new. Looks like there's some space for retail and connections to pedestrian overpasses. Over in the corner, we find a set of ticket machines, well indicated by a sign. There are also staff ticket counters where you can buy a paper ticket. Fares are distance-based, but there are also day passes, 3-day passes, and month passes available. I've never really encountered a system with so many different ways to pay. Vietnamese people can pay with a chip-enabled ID card or with Momo. The fare gates have these IC card readers, which is super Japanese. If you're paying in cash, you can buy a ticket at the ticket counter, which will have a QR code on it. Find a fare gate that has this extra scanner up front and scan the code, the gate will open for you. Those same scanners also accept debit and credit cards, Apple Pay, etc. So no matter how you want to pay, there's a way to do so. And then this station has 2 side platforms, so signs tell you which way to go for each direction. Let's go to platform 1. Now we're at platform level. And notice these half-height platform screen doors. All stations come equipped with doors to prevent passengers from getting on the tracks. Now let's look at the station signs. They look almost identical to those on the KQ line in Tokyo. Thao Dien is station number L106. Each station has a number, something common on Japanese train lines. And the style reminds me a lot of the JR station numbers in Tokyo. Wow, we're on a roll. Yellow tactile blocks indicate where the doors are on the platform, and the station also has elevators.
Platform 1. Passenger, please get ready for boarding and mind the gap between train and platform.
Line 1 uses overhead electrification, which is pretty rare for subways worldwide. They usually use third rail electrification, However, it is more commonly found on some Japanese metros like Kyoto, Fukuoka, or Tokyo. And here comes our train, built by Hitachi. To be honest, the front of the train to me looks more Chinese than Japanese. However, the side of the train, especially the shape of the doors and the windows, that's super Japanese. You could be forgiven for accidentally thinking this is a Tokyo Metro train. Although the trains are quite short. Currently, there are only 3 cars. The platforms are long enough to accommodate longer trains eventually. Inside, we see some major differences with Japanese trains. First, the hard plastic seats. They're in a similar layout to Japanese commuter trains, but all seats in Japan are fabric. Second, it has open gangways. You can freely walk between cars, much like on European trains.
This train is bound for Thành. Next station is Thành. Đoàn tàu sắp dừng lại tại ga Tân Cảng. Các cửa bên phải sẽ được mở. Chuyển sang tuyến số 5 tại đây. Ga dừng sau Tân Cảng sẽ là ga công viên.
There are plenty of straps to grab onto while the train is in motion. We've just crossed the river and are approaching Tangkang Station. So let's talk about Line 1. Construction for this line began in 2012, and it took 12 years to complete. Currently, Line 1 is about 20 kilometers or 12 miles long. There are 14 stations in total, 3 underground and 11 elevated.
Vui lòng chú ý các cửa. Đây là chuyến tàu đi Bến Thành. Ga tiếp theo là
So, what is the Japanese connection? Well, everything really. See, Japan is famous for its railways, and exporting rail technology is a good way for a country to create economic relationships with other countries. Exporting trains is nothing new. There are American locomotives in the Middle East, and there are Swiss, German, and French companies that build trains in the US. But particularly in Asia, countries compete to build entire rail lines in other countries, the tracks and the trains. China built the high speed lines in Laos and Indonesia. Japan built the bullet train in Taiwan and is involved in the project to bring high speed rail to India. In fact, they just recently gifted India 2 Shinkansen trains. The same thing can be said for metros. In Hanoi, for example, Metro Line 2 was financed and built by China.
vui lòng chú ý các cửa.
But this line we're on here in Ho Chi Minh City, this is a Japanese product. The Japanese government financed 83% of the line's construction. Different Japanese companies were responsible for the design phase and the different sections of construction. And of course, Hitachi built the trains. So the similarities between the HCMC metro and the trains in Tokyo that I keep pointing out, they're not mere coincidences. The line was built using the technology, practices, and design elements common in Japan. Anyways, the train has dove underground and arrived at its final destination, Bentown. This is in the center of the city. You'll notice a few more elements similar to Japanese metros, like the fact that all the exit signs are lit up a bright yellow. Once we pass through the fare gates, we're in a concourse with a variety of floor tiles, thick pillars, and a low ceiling. And yellow exit signs with corresponding maps help people find the correct exit for their destination. And then on the surface, let's turn around and look at the exit. It looks so similar to the station that I used all the time as a kid. Let's go for another ride now and talk about the future. You may have noticed that many of the maps spread throughout the system already include multiple lines, not just line 1. The system is expected to get bigger, much bigger. Line 1 has a planned extension that would double the current length, and it would still be one of the shortest lines. Line 2, which is currently under construction, is scheduled to open partially sometime in the 2030s. And then there are plans for lines 3 through 12. If all of it is built, there will be over 500 kilometers or 300 miles of tracks, making it over 25 times bigger than it currently is. It won't necessarily all be Japanese like Line 1. For example, Line 2 has received a lot more European financing, with the trains likely to be built by Siemens. China and India have equally expressed intentions to be involved with the construction of future lines. For the first few weeks that Line 1 was open, rides were free. They began charging fares on January 21st of 2025. Ridership has exceeded expectations by a lot. The numbers are a little bit hard to find, different sources listing different things, but the first few hours already saw more than 50,000 people taking the metro out for a spin. And in the first few months, it's been millions. Now that the line has been in operation for half a year, it will be interesting to see if the popularity was due to its novelty, or if the metro can successfully continue to claim its prominent role in the transportation of Vietnam's largest city. So far, it looks promising.
Đoàn tàu sắp dừng lại tại ga Nhà hát thành phố. Các cửa bên trái sẽ được mở. Ga dừng sau ga Nhà hát thành phố sẽ là ga Ba Son.
One thing is for sure, the stations look good, the trains are fast, and overall it is a very pleasant metro system. Congratulations to the residents of Ho Chi Minh City. And again, a huge thanks to Nonstop Eurotrip and Super Alps for filming this system. If you enjoy learning about trains around the world, new and old, then please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome. We have so much great content still coming your way, and you won't want to miss any of it. In the meantime, connect with us on Instagram and Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.